Hey there, beautiful people. Welcome to episode 10 of the Shero vs. Hero challenge episodes. So we are 10 weeks in, and so that's 10 weeks or 11 weeks of working with Marlon. It has been fabulous. She's definitely a coach that I highly respect. She makes really smart science-based decisions, but she's also very intuitive and listens to the human in front of her, which is, in my opinion, the most important part of coaching. She was rolling with it when I hurt myself and I couldn't train, and we made some great adaptations and have been able to continue making really good progress. She's always making sure that I'm as healthy as possible and that we're doing this whole weight loss process in the most sustainable, healthy way, whilst getting the best results possible within the 12 weeks. Can't recommend her highly enough.
Jessie has been absolutely brilliant as a client. She's been filling out the data tracker, so we log a variety of data so that we can make coaching decisions based on that data. So she's been tracking, her weight, her biofeedback, where her energy cravings has been. We track sleep. She's got an Oura ring as well, so she's been tracking that. Yeah, like these data points, and make decisions on her coaching based on that. And she's been sending pictures and been checking in with me whenever she's needed. It's a relationship in the end of the day, and working with someone who's coachable is essential for this relationship.
Ross is a really cool guy, very scientific, very, very smart, continuously challenges himself and is developing himself and coming up with new and cutting edge ways of how to program for his clients. As mentioned in the beginning of the challenge, I am off a little bit of a different school of thought, so we've kind of meshed our thoughts together, where it's you'll do his program, then you'll do a little hit program at the end. So we get the best of both worlds, and we're seeing the best progress. I mean, if you're a beginner or an intermediate, and you're trying to get somewhere, you're trying to improve your training knowledge, he's definitely the guy you want to see.
In a nutshell, he's definitely not been the perfect client. If we looked at it purely from a results point of view, he's bang on track as far as the weight loss side of things goes. If we look at the target weight by the end of the 12th week was going to be 94, and he started up at 103, 102. He's at 95 with 2 weeks to go. So that's literally, you couldn't ask for a better projection as far as he's stuck to that weight loss schedule. From the actual coaching, I suppose, relationship side of things, as far as what he has done well with that side of things is he's taken, for example, the training plans and any recommendations I have gave him, and he's actioned them, which has been great. As far as the nutrition side of things goes, I wouldn't know exactly how accurate he's been, because he hasn't really accurately tracked his calories and macros like I suggested. However, what he has done, which has been great, is he's made habit changes. So he's looked at his portion control, he's looked at getting protein with every meal, he's looked at getting veggies with every meal. So he's essentially ticked a lot of the big rocks. But just from my side and how I work as a coach, I would just expect a lot tighter communication.
The benefits that I have seen from this past 11 weeks, obviously the weight loss is just one of the smaller things. For me, it's really my energy levels have increased. I am much more focused when I'm working. I just generally feel so much better in my body. I really believe everyone should have the opportunity to feel like this in their life. And once you do, there's sort of no reason why you would ever want to get back to a state of dis-ease and lack of health and fitness.
With Jessie, so yeah, obviously the initial goal of the challenge with Jessie was to keep more of a modest energy deficit there. So to not put her too deep in the hole too early. As I discussed in the first episode, we didn't want to put too much stress on her body. And because she was already fairly lean, I think leaner obviously than what Ray was when they started, you can generally afford to be a bit more conservative. So that's what we did. I basically got her onto an initial starting calories, and then based on how she responded, I actually increased her calories a couple of times in the first half. But then she obviously hurt her ankle, so she sprained her ankle in week 6, midway through the challenge when she was just starting to kind of get the most out of the training program. But yeah, she hurt her foot, so obviously we had to adjust her program completely. Well, I tried to pull through as many exercises as I could. Adjust some of them. I had to take out a lot of the lower body exercises, and obviously with that she couldn't do her cardio either quite as efficiently, so I then dropped her calories, the first calorie drop in week 7, and then I've made a couple of adjustments to her calories since then. But in the last couple of weeks I've just held her. She's lower than when she started calorie wise, but she's been dropping at a good rate. I think if I drop her any further, then we'll just risk losing, you know, muscle as opposed to just as much body fat as we want. So yeah, I mean, the main change in strategy was from the straining of the ankle, really.
Benefits of the program or losing weight. I can walk into a room in a meeting and not feel like I'm a fat turd, and actually sound like or look like I actually know what I'm talking about. I actually do know what I'm talking about. But I guess the benefits are, first, it brings back great memories of the past. And second, like, you can walk in with the ultimate confidence into meetings and really nail it. I cannot stress highly enough for so many of my friends and family and the people around me how losing weight really helps with self-confidence. And I don't want to go into this rant, but people who say that, you are who you are and you are great where you're at, like, you will never feel like how you feel if you've never felt it. Did I say that right? You feel the ultimate confidence, you feel happy, you feel like proud, you can take on the world, and I'm not joking, it's something that you should try.
Yeah, so I mean, the first 6 weeks, the way we'd set things up was very much more of a metabolic focus. So we had Ray doing a lot of trisets, supersets, so his home workouts were based on quote unquote a little bit like a circuit style fashion, where he was maybe doing 2 to 4 exercises in a circuit and then resting, whereas his gym based workouts were more superset based. So as we approached week 6, week 7, we had already planned it in advance. We were going to switch away from that metabolic focus into more of a higher intensity focus, where we weren't necessarily pairing exercises. It was much more about taking each exercise to as much muscular failure as he possibly could. And then the focus in the second half of this phase was going to be much more about really nailing the nutrition and lifestyle variables as far as driving fat loss. Yeah, it's funny, Ray messaged me, we've been voice noting the last couple of days, and he asked, like, how can I get the most out of these last 2 weeks? And the funny thing is I kind of reminded him, like, there's lots of things we could do just to see like a humongous change in 2 weeks, but the reality is exactly like Mal said. I have to keep reminding them, well, it's also about what about beyond the 12 weeks? What about week 16, week 20, week 24, even if that's on his own, that's still, for us when we planned out these initial 12 weeks, that's always in the forefront of our mind, is what's the next part of this journey.
This is how we'd work, this is what we do, so I guess, it's, yeah.
So if there's one message we'd want, the viewers, I suppose, watching this episode to get from this, is that even if you set yourself these micro checkpoints like a 12-week challenge, just remember it's just a stepping stone in the journey.
So anyone who thinks that this weight loss and fitness journey is super easy for anyone is kidding themselves. To lose weight takes sacrifice. Our body naturally puts on weight as we get older. If we don't actively take action to make changes. So to be strict on your diet means forward planning. It means saying no to social activities sometimes. For some people, that's really a challenge because it's hard to say no to people when your friends are trying to encourage you to go out or go for a dinner or go on a date but for this period of time, the benefits far outweigh the sacrifices, in my opinion. Now that we're coming into the last few weeks, now the calories are going to drop a little bit more, which means I'm hungry all the time. When I'm hungry, I tend to get hangry. I also have very little freedom in what I can eat. There's other issues. You start to get cold all the time. Your recovery is going to be affected. But understanding that some of those things will happen, it means I'm trying to sleep a little bit more than I was before. just prioritizing, like realizing that some days you're just not going to have quite the same energy. You're not going to be able to push as hard in training. Like this is not the time that you're going to be building muscle mass, and that's okay. You just have to understand that that's part of the process. I think the biggest sacrifice is just, for me personally, I hate being hungry. I don't know how bodybuilders do this like year round.
Anyone who says this is easy or to lose weight is easy, they're an idiot with a capital I. And especially that guy from YouTube who keeps putting up these ads with pizzas and salads, you're an idiot. I think my biggest sacrifice has been movies, because I cannot not buy popcorn at the movies. Like it's, I guess a lot of people can relate. And if I've ever gone to a movie, then it's gonna be like, I'll have a Cali Poke with me, so I know that I'm eating something, but I'm not eating something wrong, per se. A little bit of social gatherings, but I've not really like cut them out totally, because I mean, you need to have some sort of like stress relief. For me, that is what it is, to chill with my friends. You know, the last thing I want to do is lying in bed and just like, or sitting at home and angry with myself or stressed out that I can't go out with my friends because I don't want to eat.
Yes, I mean, to be honest, I think with all of the constraints that he has in place, given his schedule, given the way he was sleeping before he came into this challenge, it's been clear that there's been a mindset shift for him. There's been a change in the way he views his health. There's been a change in how much of a priority his health and fitness is taking in his day. So that for me is probably the biggest win out of all of this. And then from an actual composition standpoint, we'd set a target literally from the start. From being at 103, we wanted to get to 94, and he's pretty much consistently every week dropped. I don't think there's been one week where he hasn't dropped. Now naturally, as this progress goes, it's not linear, so some weeks he's dropped quite a lot and others he's dropped a little less. The only thing I haven't had from Ray, which I guess you've had from Ressie, is progress photos, which I would have loved to have had, because for me the visuals are just as if not more important than the weight loss itself. But if we're taking the progress based on just the data that I have had access to, which is his weight, he's been absolutely bang on track. We've got literally 1 kilo to that target weight loss and 2 weeks to go.
So Jessie, progress-wise, so she started off at 77, and we said like the late 69s, early 70s would be a good kind of change in that time. That's pushing quite aggressive on the weight loss side of things as well. And also visually, I can see progress on her photos, and her biofeedback has been good as well. Obviously it's slightly harder now the last 4 weeks because she's keeping things extra tight, food variety really low, she is experiencing a bit more hunger, but overall like she's, everything is in a good place. I don't even know how we're going to judge who's going to win. Like, I don't even know.
We had an interesting discussion before this, because I think as coaches we're always going to look at it from a very 360 point of view. If we're looking at purely just the visuals and stuff, obviously I guess the final photos will tell, and we'll see what the audience thinks as well.
I think Jessie should win, and definitely, I think she should win, because I think she's really committed herself to this process. Yeah, like she's done really, really well. I don't think she could have done any better. So I've really enjoyed it, and I think she should be really proud of herself, and I am really proud of her.
With that said, I am quite excited to actually see Ray's in photos, because again, it is a bit of a mystery to me, which again, it shouldn't be at this stage, but... You're
in the blind there, it's hard to say.
I'll be just as excited and fascinated as everyone else by the time we get to week 12, to see what that 12-week change has been.
Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that video, and stay tuned for more updates from us for the last 2 weeks. This is Ray and Jessie, peacing out, stay strong and stay hungry.